Background and attraction of Malaysia. Malaysia is a multi-ethnic and multi-religious Southeast Asian country which is one of the wealthiest and most developed in the country, outranked in GNP only by Singapore and oil-rich Brunei. On 31st August 1957, the Federation of Malaysia gained its independence. Singapore withdrew from the Federation on 9th August 1965. Malaysia's population is made up of three major ethnic groups, each with their own history, culture and traditions. 60% of the population is Bumi Putra, a term used to describe the country's traditional inhabitants, which includes Malays, Orang Asli and other indigenous peoples. While minorities include Chinese, about 20% of the population, and Indians 6%. Malaysia is home to over 130 different languages and their official national language is Bahasa Melayu. English is an official state language in Sarawak. Malaysian English, also known as Malaysian Standard English, is a form of English derived from British English. Malaysia is known as one of Southeast Asia's most beautiful and fascinating tourist destinations. Malaysia has multi-ethnic, multicultural and multilingual society that makes Malaysia an interesting country to discover about their culture and traditions. Since the beginning of foreign trade, Chinese and Indian culture have had a significant influence. Malaysia has one of the best economic records in Asia, with GDP growing at a rate of 6.5% per year on average from 1957 to 2005. Malaysia will be the world's 21st largest economy by 2050 according to HSBC, with a GDP of $1.2 trillion and a GDP per capita of $29,247. Malaysia was ranked one of the finest locations to retire in the world in 2013 and 2014, with the country ranking third on the Global Retirement Index. Malaysia is famous for its attractions such as cuisine, the variety of holidays and festivals, sports and others. Malaysian cuisine reflects the country's multi-ethnic society. Besides, Malaysians celebrate a variety of holidays and festivals throughout the year. Labor Day on 1st May and the King's birthday are two other notable national holidays. Since Islam is the state religion, Muslim holidays are prominent. Malaysian Chinese commemorate Chinese New Year and other traditional Chinese holidays. Unemployment in Malaysia before COVID-19 outbreak. Malaysia's unemployment rate is relatively low and stable at around 3%, implying that the population is close to full employment. In 2014, the country experienced its lowest level of unemployment with a rate of 2.5%. Malaysia's thriving economy is regarded as one of the most powerful in Southeast Asia. It has supported such a low unemployment rate and good growth rates year after year, thanks to years of political stability. Given the country's strong and growing economy, the average GDP per capita is increasing at a rapid pace. Despite this encouraging statistic, news reports indicate that the majority of job seekers are unemployed. The 3% are young people, both graduates and non-graduates, who have had difficulty accessing the labor market. This graph shows that the unemployment in Malaysia from 1999 to 2020 based on Malaysia World Bank.
Causes of unemployment among fresh graduates in Malaysia. Poor command of the English language is one of the reasons for unemployment among fresh graduates in Malaysia. Malaysia's principal business language is still English. English proficiency is no longer an advantage but rather a must for efficient communication. Many Malaysian fresh graduates, on the other hand, find it difficult to communicate effectively in English. Because most job interviews are performed in English, many graduates fail at the first stage of the job application process because the lack of English proficiency impact their self-confidence during the interview among the fresh graduate, making it harder for them to be accepted into the desired workplace. The world is in the midst of a digital and automated era. As a result, digital skills such as digital marketing, big data analytics and e-commerce are among the most in-demand employment talent. While digitalization creates new employment in Malaysia, the majority of incoming graduates lack the necessary digital skill to fill them. This has also contributed to a drop in the starting salaries of recent graduates in a competitive job market. Last but not least, most of the students nowadays lack soft skills. Companies do not want to teach employees from the ground up. Therefore, fresh graduates are expected to be fully equipped with the necessary skill and expertise to immediately add value to them. The majority of Malaysian fresh graduates, according to business and industry participants, lack the technical, problem-solving and soft skills that companies require to succeed in the employment market. As a result, the employment market is extremely competitive, with only a few talented individuals possessing the necessary skill set being hired.
Economic problem during COVID-19. In the year of 2020, a serious threat to public health emerged. The unexpected severe acute respiratory syndrome coronavirus 2 epidemic outbreak emerged in Wuhan City, Hubei Province, China in December 2019 and grew rapidly all across the world. This disease was named COVID-19 by the World Health Organization. According to the Chinese National Health Commission, patients infected with the coronavirus might well have visited a seafood market in China, such as bats and rabbits. Humans are the major hosts of coronavirus because they eat diseased bats for food. Humans can, however, contract the infection to other humans through close contact. The process of transmission is depicted. Therefore, the COVID-19 epidemic in Malaysia has had a substantial economic impact, resulting in the depreciation of the Malaysian ringgit and a drop in the country's gross domestic product. Entertainment markets, retail, hospitality and tourism were all negatively impacted by the pandemic. Aside from shortages of goods and services, several firms faced social isolation and lockdown limitation, which had an impact on their operation and revenue. The pandemic also brought attention to workplace safety and migrant labour exploitation in Malaysian industry. During the outbreak, stocks on Malaysia's stock exchange, called Bursa Malaysia, plummeted as investors liquidated securities in anticipation of the virus' expected economic impact, which is estimated to last until June 2020 in Malaysia and other emerging financial markets. The country's economy was directly harmed because China is Malaysia's major trading partner, and economic experts have warned that a prolonged virus outbreak might have a significant impact on the country's gross domestic product. The Malaysian ringgit was forecast to drop further due to the local and global outbreak by Aberdeen Standard Investment of Malaysia in late February, with repercussions for the 2020 Malaysian political crisis. Malaysia's gross domestic product fell by 3.4% in the fourth quarter of 2021 compared to the previous year. Furthermore, the Malaysian economy shrank by 5.6% in 2020. It is the lowest year since the ASEAN financial crisis in 1998. In a nutshell, the COVID-19 epidemic has had a major impact on the economy of Malaysia. As a result, the Finance Minister plays a critical role in assisting Malaysia in dealing with the issue during this critical era.
COVID-19 cause of unemployment in Malaysia. Graph shows unemployment in Malaysia. Workers have already been severely impacted by the MCO measures. Impact of MCO. COVID-19 pandemic and the accompanying lockdowns hampered business activities. It caused many businesses to shut down and their employees lose their jobs. The MCO, which is a movement control order, often referred as a partial lockdown. It reduced the COVID-19 pandemic. This MCO caused all business activities to stop operating. The order included the closure of private and public premises, halting most economic activities in the country except for certain essential services. Effects of COVID-19. Malaysia was able to maintain an unemployment rate which is 3.2%. COVID-19 pandemic resulted in thousands of people losing their jobs. it is increasing the unemployment rate, affected the economic growth in Malaysia. Firms were not able to pay wages and were forced to retrench workers. According to an EU era estimate, the Nairo experienced by Malaysia is averagely around 3.3%. In 2019, this crisis increased the actual unemployment rate from 3.3% to about 4.5% in 2020. The difference between 3.3% and 4.5%, where 1.2% is the unemployment due to the COVID-19 crisis. The crisis also shook natural unemployment and cyclical unemployment rates. To address these two unemployment rates, it requires a different approach. Cyclical unemployment demands active short-term measures as the unemployed are directly affected from the crisis induced by the pandemic. Long-term measures are more appropriate to address natural unemployment. COVID-19 cause of unemployment in Malaysia. The unemployment rate in January rose to 4.9% from 4.8% in December due to tourism-related industries impacted by COVID-19. It declined in the agriculture sector despite gains by the manufacturing and services sectors. The unemployment rate in January rose by 9,700 people to 782,500 from the 772,900 in December. The number of employed persons in the services sector rose month to month, particularly in retail trade, wholesale, human health, education activities, and social work. The unemployment rate among low-income urban families remains troubling. 1 out of 3 adult children are unemployed. 1 out of every 3 heads of household members, 60% are unemployed. Unemployment in Malaysia will remain challenging in 2021 and beyond. Investment are the key. If the economy is able to attract investments, then things will be better on both the economic growth and employment fronts. Thus, the real question is, what are the factors that will give investors confidence to invest in Malaysia?
Next is how Malaysia overcomes the unemployment problem during this COVID-19 outbreak. The government has introduced a number of initiatives and stimulus packages for Malaysians who have lost jobs, such as social protection, including an employment injury scheme and a retirement fund for gig workers, reskilling and upskilling programs, hiring and training assistance, and also wage subsidies. Firstly, through the hiring incentive and training program by SOSO, the government has provided financial incentives to firms who create new work possibilities. Until the end of the year, the goal of this program is to create at least 180,000 new work possibilities. Secondly, the government also provided a few allowances such as job-seeking allowance for those who are actively looking for work and to replace lost income while looking for a new job. There is also the early re-employment allowance as a reward which pays people for taking the initiative to look for work. The reduced income allowance is a financial allowance for people who work for many companies but have lost their jobs with any of them. Thirdly, the government will provide further help under the Prihatin Special Grant GKP 4.0 program, which would grant micro SMEs one-time payments of RM500 in September and another RM500 in November 2021 as part of the new stimulus package. Fourthly, the Employees Provident Fund EPF launched iCitra to withdraw up to RM5,000 at a set rate of RM1,000 per month for 5 months, subject to the members' total combined EPF balance in both accounts 1 and 2. Next is a 6-month bank loan moratorium will be granted to all individual borrowers and micro-entrepreneurs to help them weather the economic effects of the COVID-19 pandemic, and they will be able to resume full repayments in 2022. Lastly is the Jaringan Inisiatif Umum G2 program, which provides basic business capital help and mentoring to the disabled and homeless.
The conclusion. Based on this group project, we study the unemployment in Malaysia and the drastic change of the unemployment due to the spread of COVID-19. We can clearly see thousands of people in Malaysia lost their job during the outbreak because during the process of reducing the spread of this contagious virus, we need to stay at home, which resulted in the closure of small business stalls and dismissal of employees. This change made the graph of employment in Malaysia rise steeply. compared to the graph of unemployment before the outbreak. However, the government provided a solution to help people in Malaysia that have been fully affected by this pandemic. Collaboration between government agencies and industry stakeholders result in job opening and skill training under the National Employee Council. The government also allocate millions ringgit as an additional source of assistance for micro business and small-scale enterprise sector. Our country economic state is at risk during this outbreak. Therefore, we should stand together so that we can help those in need by supporting them, such as buying goods from those who start small business to maintain their economic state.